Why you asleep?
I just realized that I don't have.
You must be doing okay. You have taken the blood. Yeah.
Walking everything?
Good, good, tell him I said take his medicine. You'll have some stars in your ground, Alicia. Here's your return. In case they are. You get $92.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I waived my fee for you.
I appreciate
Sounded it out, didn't you?
Back up there, just start to see the glass. Go all the way around, go all the way around. Okay, you go.
I'm good, how y'all doing?
I woke up, that's all I know.
I'm happy.
That's right. Might as well
Heather is giving you guys some handouts printed out and put in folders back there, so she will be here in just a second. She's just back there in the back. That's a moment. All right. Huey, do you have your teacher manual?
Yeah.
Okay. When we get to some certain spots where I left out some things on the slide, can I borrow that book from you? Just for a second. I thought I brought mine. I started looking around, and me and Heather were, I guess, just rummaging through those printouts this morning, and I probably laid it on the side of the table where I was putting all my printouts.
Yeah, you can get it.
That she's back there working on. All right, we're talking about the book of Leviticus. While we discussed Genesis and Exodus last week, but we're going on to Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy this week. There is a ton of information. As I was just saying, I'm not going to be able to have all of it up here on the slides. Because of it going so far into detail, we don't have enough time in the class to get done with it. So we're going to try our best to stick as simple to it as we can. And Heather is, like I said, printing out or arranging some folders for you guys that I talked about getting you last week. She's getting those the printouts put in folders for you. The printouts are going to be what we're not going to be able to talk about. They're going to be some of the information that we're missing today, just about what the books cover. And I'm using this book here, and I wanted to bring this up here and talk to you about it. Rob Whitaker is he's awesome. What he did is he just went through the Old Testament and outlined it. He just put he alliterated it chapter for chapter, book for book, and he helps with alliteration. Whenever I do alliteration for sermons, the reason I do it is because it's a great memory tool. It can help you to remember the points a little bit easier. And that's what he does here. He doesn't, it's strictly Bible. It's 100% Bible. He doesn't go into any commentary whatsoever. He stays straight to the text. And I found it to be a very great tool for me. Now, he does have some printouts that he made concerning the Levitical feast days. You'll see that in your folder that I give you. And that's just talking about like what that was, like what the Passover was, what the Feast of Unleavened Bread is, and the purpose of it, and that sort of thing. So it's going to tell you the purpose of it, the day it's celebrated on. But there's a lot in these books in the Old Testament that we're not going to be able to talk about as freely as I would like, because we don't have the time in the class. So we're going to breeze over them, and you'll have the outlines there for your disposal. Take them home and do what you want to do with them. If you'd like to read them and look at them and just kind of see what I'm saying, I think it's great. He is a master alliterator, and really helps. It really helps to see or to put it into perspective whenever you look at it the way he's arranged it. And like I said, it's just a great study help. But anyway, Leviticus talks about the duties of the priests. These were those who were in the tribe of Levi. Those were the ones that were selected by God to handle the priestly duties. They were the ones that God had, handpicked as the priestly tribe. And the book deals with religious ceremonies and the Jewish feasts. And like I said, we've got a handout in that folder that just kind of briefly discusses it. and talks to you about it, tells you what it is. But in Jewish worship, men from the tribe of Levi did the work that the priest would do. And the word Leviticus in your folders or in the little green book, I think it's green. Is it green this? Yeah. It was, what color was it last quarter? I don't know. I've seen green and I've seen pink. I think I've seen that color more than once, but that's why I get confused. Yeah. Chartreuse. Yeah. So it's that real good color for like when you're bass fishing. Yeah. All right. Leviticus means pertaining to the Levites. That's simplified. That's what it means. It's pertaining to the Levites. So this is going to cover all the rules that they would have to go through. The work of the priests, the things that they would do in the tabernacle, they would burn the incense. So they would be burning incense, offering animal sacrifices. They would have ceremonial rites. There's a lot that goes into it, like I said. But the book of Leviticus is summed up, the structure of the book, if you look at that handout that I gave you, the structure of the book of Leviticus is summed up in 4 different ways. The way to God, the work of God, the walk with God, and the worship of God. See, like I said, just that simple alliteration to kind of help you see what the overall idea of the book is something that we can, like I said, appreciate. But when we talk about the Levites, some other facts that we might want to know about them is that the Levites, they owned no land. None. They were the tribe that did not have any land, but they were supported by tithes given by other tribes. And that's found in Numbers 18. If you want to look there, Numbers 18. Verses 21 through 24 says, "And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance for their service which they serve, even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. Neither must the children of Israel henceforth come nigh the tabernacle of the congregation, lest they bear sin and die. But the Levites shall do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they shall bear their iniquity. And it shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they have no inheritance. But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as a heave offering unto the Lord, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I have said unto them, among the children of Israel they shall have no inheritance." Now we got Aaron and his descendants. Aaron the Levite and his descendants, they were selected as high priests, but there were other families that served as priests as well. If you'll look at in Hebrews 5 verses 1 through 4, and then Exodus 29:29, that's where we're going to go. Exodus 29:29. The holy garments of Aaron shall be his sons after him, to be anointed therein, to be consecrated to them. And this was concerning, of course, the priests, but it would be his sons after him. The word holy, what does that mean? We talked about the meaning of the word holy several times. Set apart. It means set apart. It means to be sanctified and set apart. That word appears over 80 times in the book of Leviticus, and it emphasizes the kind of worshipers that God wants. And when I hear that, I'm reminded of 1 Peter 2:9 says, I'm a chosen generation, or that we're a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, peculiar people. We're set apart. We're holy. And the way that they were in the Old Testament is the way that we are today as well. When we go through the Old Testament, I want us to notice some of the mirroring that takes place, some of the things that we're in our study of the New Testament, and how we talked about the life of Jesus. Even some of that will show up. But what you see in the Old is going to be a reflection in the New as well. You're going to see the new in the Old. It's because God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And what he's always wanted is what he always wants. And so is what he'll always want. So we have that. I'm not on the right slide. Let me look. Okay. Let's go to Leviticus 10. I want to bring this up, and I want to talk about it. The curriculum that we're using discusses this, and this is it's a great note to take down in our Bibles. But I do want to mention some things about Leviticus 10 that were not in the curriculum. Just kind of pick your brain about it and ask you what you think too, because I feel pretty confident about it. Now it says in verses 1 and 2. Discusses two men here, Nadab and Abihu. They were the sons of Aaron. We're going to hear about some other sons here in just a minute, Eleazar and Ithamar, that were also sons of Aaron. But Nadab and Abihu specifically says that they took their censer, they put fire therein, and put incense thereon. They offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. So they gave God something he didn't ask for. They gave him he asked for specifics. And so what we see is that they made a mistake, and they did not bring to God what God had asked for. And this illustrations, look at this. It says, Nadab and Abihu, sons of Aaron, are illustrations of men who tried to worship God in untold ways and in evil conditions. Our curriculum stops in untold ways. Because I read the whole chapter and looked at it in its context, there's also some evil conditions in which they worshiped. Because we can read and continue reading, it says there went out fire from the Lord after they offered that strange fire in verse 1. Verse 2 says there went out fire from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. And Moses said unto Aaron, this is that the Lord spake, saying, I will be sanctified. What does that sanctified word again? Holy. It's correlated with holy. So I will be sanctified in them that come near me. And before all the people, I will be glorified. He said, I'm not going to be a mockery. That's what he's saying in verse 3. That sums up the action taken in verses 1 and 2. When they were devoured by fire before the Lord for offering to God something he had not asked for, it was specifically because of what verse 3 says, I'm not going to be made a mockery of. But if you keep reading, in verse 4, it says, and Moses called Mishael and Elzaphan, the sons of Eziel, and the uncle of Aaron, and said unto them, come near, carry your brethren from before the sanctuary out of the camp. So it says, get them out of the way. And so they went near, and they carried them into their coats out of the camp, and Moses has said. And it says, the reason that I don't want you to drink alcohol. So what we see here is that Nadab and Abihu were drunk when they offered the strange fire. They're drinking. A lot of times we stop at the strange fire. We discuss the fact that they offered the strange fire and we don't even bring up the alcohol. It's important that we look at the whole picture, right? And not leave out any of it. not only did they do things that were not pleasing to God, but they did things that were not pleasing to God in evil conditions, in a manner which God had not authorized. He said, when you come into my tabernacle, do not come in drunk with wine or strong drink. Don't come in at all when you're doing that, except you die. For the anointing oil of the Lord is upon you. What was the anointing oil significant of? Sanctification, right? It was to sanctify them as a ceremonial act that they would do by pouring oil over their head to sanctify them, to set them apart. And he says here, the reason Nadab and Abihu died, not only because they offered strange fire, but when the mouth of the Lord spake, it's because they were drunk too. And so they were doing something in a manner that was not pleasing to God without the authorization, they were offering something that God had not authorized in a condition that was not authorized. We often stop at verse 2 and we say our point. A lot of times, many people will bring up mechanical instruments. You hear Nadab and Abihu mentioned. I've preached it myself. After studying it this week, what happened, though, to the other sons? Because after this took place, Eleazar and Ithamar were expected to eat the offerings that were of the Lord that were made by fire. It says, eat it without leaven beside the altar, for it is most holy. What we read in the last part of the chapter is that they did not do this. Now, one thing that I want to bring to your mind, and I want to ask you a question. We often mention, we often make that statement that they offered the strange fire and we leave it alone. But I believe after reading and studying this, that they didn't die because they offered strange fire. They died because they came in under the condition of drunkenness while trying to do something that God had asked them to do. Go for it.
You're assuming all that.
I said I was under I'm asking y'all. Yes, sir. I'm assuming it, but I'm asking you this because listen now, it says wholeheartedly, and I'm just looking at the text. You've got a warning against alcohol right after they drop dead. They offer strange fire and they drop dead. I get that.
What does it say about their drinking? When were they not to drink wine?
They were not to drink in the tabernacle.
You applied it to their whole life.
No, it didn't.
That way
I promise. Okay, yeah. To wave it for a wave offering before the Lord, and it shall be thine and thy sons with thee. Moses diligently, verse 16, Moses diligently sought to go to the sin offering, and behold, it was burnt. And he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, the sons of Aaron, which were left alive, saying, wherefore have you not eaten the sin offering in the holy place?
Because
Seeing
it's a dead body.
it is most holy. Now listen to this. It says, God hath given it to you to bear the iniquity, to bear the sin of the congregation. It was a commandment for them to do it the right way, and they didn't.
But read on, and you'll find out that they couldn't eat it because they handled dead bodies.
It wasn't them that handled the dead bodies. It was Mishael and Elzaphan.
Right. But
It wasn't.
they
It
could
wasn't.
not eat it because of the death that had taken place.
It was because of the death that had taken place that they couldn't eat it. How were they made unclean? How were they made unclean? By
I
what?
have no idea.
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think when you start reading, and I can't see without my glasses, but when you start reading over in verse 8, those are the instructions that Moses had given to those who remain.
Right.
But I don't see that you can get to the fact that Nadab and Abihu were drunken.
I don't understand. I don't see how you can't.
Well, Jonathan, what he's doing there is he's telling them what their responsibility is as a priest. That they can't do this, drink this, eat this. I mean, he's instructing them, but.
What had they just done though? They had just dropped dead. It says, and then the voice of the Lord comes in and says, don't do this lest you die.
And you're going to be able to apply anything after this point for a reason they died.
No, it specifically says alcohol. I can't imply something that's not in the scripture. I can't imply something that's not there. Do what?
They were not condemned for the alcohol, only if they go in the temple drinking.
It says you should not do it unless you're going, except you're going to die. They were condemned if they went in drunk.
Right. Yeah, if they did.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they did what they did outside of it. I don't know. I don't think I'm assuming, sir. I'm looking at the scripture. I promise you, I don't know how else I can come to a conclusion here. And I promise you, if I see anything that I'm wrong about, I'll admit it. But I think that you see 4 people who did it wrong, and 2 of those were drunk. The 2 that were drunk dropped dead because they did it.
They used strange fire.
That's what we've always heard. That's what we've always heard, because people stop right there, but they don't read the rest of the chapter. There was grace given there was grace given to 2 of them, and the 2 of them that God showed grace to, they didn't die. They did not drop dead.
That's right, because they did that off of strange fire, and then.
So you're saying.
And then Moses tells them what they got to do, that they can't drink this. They can't do this.
I think that verse 9 shows us that they were drunk. I think verse 9 shows us they were drunk.
I don't agree with that.
Verse 9 says, do not drink wine. You don't have to agree with it. I can't change my way of thinking until I'm proven wrong.
It don't say that they were drunk. It don't say anybody was drunk. He's given 2 new people.
You're right. It don't say that they had drinking, but it does say that there's a warning against it.
Nobody finished what they're saying. What I'm trying to say. These 2 are replacing the 2 that were killed.
Okay.
They hadn't been in that position before, is my understanding here. And God and Moses is instructing them in what they have to do to be pleasing to God. He's done passed on from the other 2 because he held his peace. Aaron held his peace, and then Moses explained why this happened.
Yeah.
And there was nothing about drink when Moses explained to Aaron why his 2 sons died there. They violated the law of God because they offered strange fire.
That's right.
And then he's instructing the other 2 sons who are they're going to take their place now.
Okay.
He's instructing them what they have to do when they take their place to be pleasing to God. They can't go in under any kind of influence of alcohol. I agree with you 100% right there.
Yeah. Well, I think that was always an expectation that God had always had for those who come into his presence not to be drunk. And it says the reason is because verse 10 says that you may put difference between what is holy and unholy. So you'll be able to understand the difference between what's good and what's not good. So what's strange fire and what's authorized by
Going
God.
in drunk?
Do what?
Was Aaron going in drunk? He named with his mark and was there. So you assume Aaron was going in drunk too.
No, sir.
Well, you can't, what I'm saying is you can't pick and choose.
I don't feel like I'm picking
That's
and
the-
choosing. I
that's
asked.
the problem with the denominational world. They pick and choose, and what they believe, they stress that point.
But see, we always
They don't
talk
go
about,
back and tie in the other stuff.
all right, but we always discuss the fact that if it ain't right, it ain't right. Period. If you don't do it right, you don't do it right, and if you're not right, that's it. But here we see 4 people who were not right, and God had grace on 2 of them.
You're wrong.
How?
And that's the reason I say that because of the fire. Because that's the one thing that they did that the other two hadn't done. And he's making sure here that they don't. But to me, the reason they died was because of a strange fire. I've got no reason from my reading and everything to think that they were going in drunk.
I agree with you.
It don't mention it in connection with them. It's.
I guess it's the way you look at it, I reckon, because I see that they drop dead, and then when I read down verses, right underneath it, it says that if you go in under this condition, you're gonna drop dead.
So Aaron was going to have
And I can't disagree
No, sir.
with that, with him telling them, but he is going forward to the next two that's gonna take their place.
Right.
You don't go back and wait, when you hire somebody to take somebody else's place, you know, you give them the rules.
Yeah,
Well, in the first place, of course, this is the tabernacle here. We haven't got to the temple yet.
right.
They didn't offer they didn't offer fire in the tabernacle. They offered it outside. You get me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they
Brazen
were
house.
outside of the tabernacle when they offered the fire. They wasn't inside. The only thing they did inside was they burned incense and they had the candles and the table with showbread in the holy place. The most holy place was where God was.
Yeah,
So they were outside, I guess around the altar or something.
okay.
So.
I didn't mean to make it an argument. I saw that and I asked, and I see it. I still see it. I'm gonna have to study it.
Okay.
I can't sit here and tell you that I'm just gonna agree with what you say until I study more.
Don't want you to.
Good.
Nobody should.
Good. I love y'all.
What you're going to do is agree, don't agree with me.
I wanna agree with the scripture. Yeah.
Agree with the Bible.
I just want you to know I love y'all. I don't mean, and I'm passionate about it. And I'm not mad, I promise.
Oh, I ain't either, John. Don't make the Bible say what you want it to say.
All right. Well, if I'm doing that, I apologize because I would never do that on purpose.
They died because they offered strange fire.
Period.
And then, God tells Aaron, you people who will be priests after this, you can't go drunken or go in with alcohol into the tent of meeting, into the tabernacle.
That makes sense.
Huh?
That makes sense. The way you said it, he called upon them and told them what their expectations were before he gave them the
They can't go
expectation
in
to do
there
it.
And do their priestly duty.
That makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
I think that's the point of this chapter.
Yes, sir. Well, then let's move on. I apologize. I apologize. I am passionate and I do not, I please don't misunderstand me here.
John,
I don't want to argue. I don't want to fight, but I just want y'all to maybe,
We're not mad at you.
okay, good. I don't want y'all to be upset with me. That's, Heather's up here with her head down. She's scared to death for me. I don't want her to, don't, look,
I am thankful.
They're not gonna crucify me.
Praise the Lord, that we can discuss it without angry feelings.
right. Now, I want you to know though, I wasn't angry. Sometimes though, I'm a big dude and I get excited and it looks like I'm getting ticked off. I'm not mad.
I've been a little off my life.
Yeah, I'm just passionate.
John, I've been a little off my life, and I have been extremely loud at times.
And I can remember that.
All right.
Man,
I said, I can remember.
All right. Well, all right. So I'll study that some more and I'll tell you if you're wrong or not. But all right. There were 3 yearly feasts in Leviticus. Those 3 yearly feasts are the Passover, the Pentecost, and the Tabernacle. Now, one thing too we can talk about is the Day of Atonement. That was one day. These feasts, though, were things going. They were continuous. The Passover was held on the 14th day of the first month of the Jewish calendar, which is around our equivalent to April.
they call that a bill. The first month is a bill.
Abib, yeah. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know much. about that Jewish calendar. I want to learn some more for Wednesday.
No idea.
I don't know. I know that that they say it's somewhere around April where the Passover takes place, which is kind of cool because, you know, April every year is when Easter is.
I remember right, the Jews had 2 years. They had what are you gonna call it? The Jewish year, the New Year was in April. First day, around the 1st of April.
Okay.
And then the first day of the 7th month started their, I guess, non-religious year.
Okay.
So,
I can't even deal with their time.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find a chart maybe and print it off for Wednesday so that we can all better understand that. But the Passover feast lasted for 7 days. It commemorated the Lord's passing over the firstborn in Egypt. Remember when the Lord would pass over, he said, I'm going to pass over and you better have the blood applied. That's what the Passover feast was in commemoration of, is that festival where God spared those who were obedient to what he had asked. He spared them and honored them.
hey, John,
Go for it.
something else too, the Lord Passover.
Yeah, the death angel is something I had a misconception of until we had that conversation about a year ago.
Who?
Me and you had a conversation about the death angel.
Yeah.
Because I said that was a denominational misunderstanding from my part that I never got out of my head. But yeah, it was the Lord that passed over. It wasn't a death angel. We automatically assumed, I guess, well, just because we heard it. I don't know.
Memory that I have, but,
He's younger.
Yeah, it was about a year ago. You don't remember us having that conversation? Because you said you had brought it up on accident and somebody corrected you about it. Maybe an elder a long time ago corrected you on it.
well, that's.
We were driving down the road in the car. We were going
I was
visiting.
probably driving.
Yeah, you wasn't thinking. We were just talking, and I was probably doing most of it. But at this feast, a lamb was always eaten. You can see that evidence there in Exodus 12. We talk about Pentecost. This occurred 50 days after the Passover, so they would wait 50 days. The Jewish tradition says that it commemorated the giving of the law on Mount Sinai. For Israel was there for 50 days after leaving Egypt and waiting on the law to be given by God. And then the Feast of Tabernacles. The Feast of Tabernacles is the one that's also known as the Feast of Booths, because they would put Jewish tradition says that this feast Jews lived for they lived for 7 days in booths made of boughs of trees, as they had done when they left Egypt. And so that was a festival as well. When was it that the high priest entered into the most holy place?
Day of Atonement.
On the Day of Atonement. How many days of the year was the Day of Atonement observed? How many days of the year? Yeah, 1 day. The Day of Atonement. Leviticus 16 will give you more information there. Like I said, look through the handouts I gave you, because they're just summing up what's going on. The Day of Atonement is the most important Jewish day, because that was when they received atonement. That was when they would go and they would confess. The sacrifices were offered and atonement was made for sin. And so that payment there was made, and they were counted as righteous if they had done what God asked them to do. This was the only time anyone entered into the most holy place, where the blood of the animal was sprinkled on the mercy seat. We will stop right there and finish our study on Wednesday. Daily Bible readers. Heather is going to chew me out later. She sat up here the whole time with her head down, scared to death.
She might have been looking for something.
Yeah, she was probably looking for something to throw at me.
Jenkins all by myself. Daddy, I spelled Jenkins all by myself.
You did.
Ew.